I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Got a little late on me. Well, not late, still 10 minutes early.
Uh-huh.
How's everything? I get,
Okay. Oh,
Gene is here also.
hi, Dean. I can't hear.
Gene, you're,
Okay, does that work? Can you hear me?
yes, yes, I can. It's a little early. Let me pull up the, so I, so I can look at the, agenda, or actually we don't have much of agenda, the, budget. And I think it automatically starts recording, so I'm going to stop. Okay. It's 7:06. There's 4 people present. Myself, Manuel Barrera, Alexis Mendoza, Jean Wrench, and David Martinez. So we have a quorum. So the meeting will start. Now, I sent everybody, everybody that we have emails for, a copy of our financial statements. And basically by what I did is, if you looked at it, because we have all the chase statements, it tells us how much we spent and how much we brought in every month. So I just put them all on an Excel worksheet, did the total, and we went up, I forgot, collecting, let me go back up here. Was 23,000. Now let me put it on share. Hold on. Let me go back.
Back, turn this on.
Okay, we collected $23,295. Amount paid was $21,388.14. Now, the reason we actually spent that much is because remember we had approved $7,000 so we could start a lawsuit to see if we could get title to that property on Imogene and Mahoney. So
Yeah.
that money is for that. And, the attorney has it. Now, when I give him a check, he doesn't put it into his bank account. He puts it into it's called like a Coda account, where it sits until he uses it, and then he pulls out the part that he uses it. While it sits there in that account, it draws interest. That interest goes to the state bar, and it's used to help people with who can't afford attorneys with attorneys, for things like that. So but attorneys, not all attorneys do that, because they don't have to do that. They could just say, this is how much I'm going to charge, and that's it. And so, you're going to pay it. But most of the attorneys, they ask for a certain amount of money, and then they use it down. And if you have any left over, they're supposed to give it to you. But when you charge $325 an hour, that's what our attorney charges. And he's been practicing for a long time. He's a very good attorney. I know him. He's won numerous cases of over $1 million. And the problem I had was finding attorneys. We didn't, the attorneys that do strictly HOAs just wouldn't take us. They said, we're too small. And so, and certainly I could have found someone that had no experience as an attorney, but it always helps to have someone that has experience and that will work. So anyhow, if you got to look at the financials, does anybody have any questions? Do y'all want me to put those up?
What is the property tax? Is that what we pay for that lot over there or what?
Yes, yes. Do you know how much
Do
that
we
is?
really need to pay that? What
It-
if, um, what are there other, alternatives to,
Yeah,
paying that taxes?
we can do nothing, and what happens, here, I'll show you. Let me pull it up.
Well, if we're maintaining it, doesn't that give us some sort of, in?
Yes, there's a chance, I think there's a good chance that we will become the title holders of that property. But
Uh-huh.
we're not the title holders. We were not even the ones that they gave the right to that property to. The people that got that property was the recreation club.
And they
Uh,
don't even exist anymore, right?
yes, they don't exist. And in fact, Adrian Akins actually did us a favor because in around 2012, somewhere along there, or maybe it was after that, but she actually filed an affidavit with the county saying, we're maintaining it, we're paying the property taxes, it's our property. And actually it became like an open notice to the owners that, hey, we're saying it's ours. But now we got to go to court, and the court has to basically say, yes, you're entitled to that title. And it's actually very important. If we don't pay those taxes, they'll foreclose on that property. The property, here, let me pull it up. I don't know if you ever looked at it. Let me go to tax assessor.
Who, the person who hasn't gone to work for 2 years but still gets money?
I'm
That's
sorry.
a weird deal. That Ann Bennett Harris?
That's true of that's true of all politicians. All politicians. You'll be surprised how many of them don't show up 20-30% of the time.
Hmm.
Property tax. Can y'all see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, no, I know the name actually. See, the original owners were the Braeburn Glen Inc. That was the developers that actually created this neighborhood. See, here are the taxes, $2,916.58. And I'll pay them probably next week. So, and if you 5-year account, at one time, we weren't paying that much. For instance, in 2019 was $891. So it was then that I asked about that property because up until then, I always assumed it was the Civic Club's property. I didn't know. I always assumed it was our property. And then I found out that in essence, we were paying taxes and maintaining a property that didn't belong to us. And so
Was that while there was still a pool there, or was that after the
after
pool was?
I never used the pool. I mean, it was there when I moved in, but I never used it. So it's and in fact, I think when I first became president in 2016, we might have been only be paying like $500-600 total per year.
Hmm.
But as you can see, it's appraised the property at $140,000, $139,392.
Yeah.
You know, and
A lot.
and I have done I read a lot of papers when they were in the Civic Club, the old papers. In fact, the Braeburn Glen Recreation Association used the property as a basically to get a loan to build the swimming pool.
Hmm.
See, so if we can get that property, whether it costs us $7,000 or even maybe $10,000 on attorney's fees, we'll wind up with property that's worth quite a bit more that has value to the Civic Club. Not only that, because the property's unrestricted. That means people can build anything they want to on there. However, if you own the property, you can always put conditions, just like deed restrictions on the property, that only single-family houses could be built there. And it's a way to protect that part of the neighborhood from basically what happened on the end of Braeburn Glen over here, where you have the little shopping center and the car wash. The shopping center is no big deal, but the car wash has always been a nuisance.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, I know that if I lived near there, I wouldn't want that to happen. The people around there, maybe one or two may realize that it could happen, but most of them don't. And and I wouldn't want someone to do that to me, and I wouldn't want to do that to someone. So the best thing is, that I believe, is to, gain ownership of that property, fence it in. In fact, I believe that the people that live near there are throwing tree branches on there. And so we're gonna have to pay extra to get the landscaper to put it up front for the trash people to pick it up next month, and hope that the heavy trash is doing better than it has been doing. Uh, but fence it in, and then maybe build like what do they call it? Those
Pavilion.
pavilions, where we could have meetings, and, possibly even rent it out, just, put conditions, no loud music, things like that. But that's much in the future. And I don't know I'll be honest with you, I don't know how much longer I want to be doing this, because it's a lot of work. And like you say, Gene, a lot of people, they complain. They complain. And they think for some reason that we're getting paid. And I tell them, you can volunteer and do what you're asking me to do. I said, I don't get paid. You don't? I go, no. A lot of people assume we get paid. And, that's one of the reasons that I let people know how we're spending the money. None of it says payment for any of us. Uh, so, and I'll be honest with you, if you look at our budget, if you take that $7,000 away from what we had on the budget, from what we amount paid out, that's $14,000 that we spent last year. That's it. And almost $6,000 of it is for the insurance for us, liability insurance. Because if we make a mistake, or somebody claims we make a mistake, we have a $2 million liability insurance policy that will protect us. And as litigious as people are nowadays, you wouldn't want to do something as a volunteer and then get sued for that.
Yeah.
At the end of January, oh no, what is it, December? We had a little bit over 69,000. Today, right now, we probably have around 72,000, maybe 73, because we've had oh, quite a bit come in the last 2 weeks. So we're doing fairly well, and we're fine on income. So, any more questions,
No,
Gene? David?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, now as far as the
Well,
minutes,
oh, I got a question.
sure.
So who owns that car wash at the end of it?
I don't know. I can look it up, but I'm not sure who owns it. I know that I got two calls actually, and two emails from the owner of that little shopping center where that barber shop is now, because he wanted to know what our assessment for them was, and I said, "You're not part of us." And I believe there's a tiers that collects a business tax. And that's probably what he's referring to. So I told him next time they send me an email inviting me to their meetings, I'll let him know what the name of it. But and his name is Bang Tren.
Alexis, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
I'm not talking.
Well, then I guess that works.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Now, anticipating how much is going to be collected is hard. I can more or less figure out how much we're going to spend, especially if we're spending too much, I can limit it. But, other than the insurance, we paid approximately $5,500 this year. I put the same amount for last year, and normally that's due in September. But if you're aware, insurance has been going up,
Yeah.
and so
Yep.
that's our highest expense. Property taxes, landscaping, our website, which includes the Stripe, those payments where they can pay online, it's about $600. But it's hard to figure out because we have a fee, and then we also pay a 3% on whoever pays. We pay the 3%. I mean, so, but it's somewhere along $600. Landscaping right now we're paying $150 a month. Sometimes it'll be a little higher, so that's $2,000. When as long as I'm doing the invoices, envelopes, and stamps, so although I'll be honest with you, if the price of stamps keeps going up, $300 may look not too expensive, but by using those double window envelopes and then playing with my Word document until I can get it to fold to where you have both addresses on there, I pretty much can get everything done for about $300. That includes the stamps. Mikey and I do the folding and stamping and all that. The mosquito spraying, $2,800. Yard of the month, if we do $50 every month, that's $600 a year. Miscellaneous is, you never know what's going to come up. Now, I have a $4,000 legal bill because I really want to start working on those 40 some odd people.
Forty some odd people who what?
Who owe, for instance, $1,300, $2,400, $2,300. Now, two of this already, the lawyer has them. See, as you can see, and then we have, all this until we get to the 170. 170 is 3 years. So since we voted last year that, we wouldn't use an attorney unless it was 3 years or more, so basically we'll stop there. But, next year we'll go after them. Or if I'm still here, but, we should go after them because we need to get our collection rate up to about 90%. we don't charge an arm and a leg, but we should get people to pay what they owe. And
Well,
so,
and I always think that if people actually put some money into a neighborhood, maybe they'll care more about it.
some of those people have lived here for 20 years and never paid.
Yeah.
This is the first time that I know since I've been here, and I've been involved with the board most of those years, that any attempt at collecting has ever been done.
Wow.
So, when people realize that, hey, if I don't pay, all I get is a letter,
Yeah.
they don't pay. I mean, you have people that lived here for that long and say, well, I never got a letter. Well, I know that's not true, but anyhow, they still say it. Uh, and I tell them, it's like property taxes. You don't have to get a letter. You owe it whether you get notice or not. And so and they kind of go berserk when they find out that that's true. I said, it's just like, you have a credit card bill and the bill is due on the 5th and you don't pay it, they're going to charge you a penalty and an interest. And you can argue as much as you want to that you didn't get an invoice to collect. They're not going to change their mind because
Yeah, that's true.
it's up to you to pay it. I said, so just be lucky that we don't have a penalty. And the reason we don't have a penalty is because our deed restrictions don't allow us to have penalties for late payment. Otherwise, I think I would recommend that at least $25 for the first month and, maybe $10 every month thereafter. But
That'd be great. Hey, well, you know what, Manny, thank you for all you do. When all these people bitch and moan to me about how, this isn't being done and that isn't being done, I say, well, I don't think you know how much Manny does. So if you want to take over, knock yourself out. So anyway, I do understand that there's a lot going on and you do a lot of work, and thank you.
this, I also used to do a newsletter, and the reason I don't do a newsletter, it got too expensive. We're spending about $400 for every newsletter. The printing just got too expensive. Yeah, and it doesn't make sense when half the people don't even read them. They tell you, "Oh, I don't read it." So, and
I always read it. I read both sides, English and Spanish.
But you'll be surprised how many people, oh yeah. And in fact, I had one where the guy says, oh, I've never read that. You didn't tell us. And his wife goes, well, I read it. So it's, but that's one of the reasons I added another $4,000, and certainly it won't be now, but maybe in a few months or not, especially after the lawsuit on the property starts. Give that attorney another $4,000 after I send out a second letter to those people that are 4 years and more behind. And so, because after they don't respond after 30 days, I'm going to give them to the attorney. He's going to send them a letter, and when he sends them a letter, we have to pay for that letter. If once he takes the case, then we can charge it. But until he does that, technically we can't charge him attorney's fees. We can't, when I send a certified letter and first class, we're paying about $7 for each letter. And that doesn't include my work. Because, every time you send out a certified letter, you got to put the certified number on there. You also have to put that it's also being sent via first class. And so all of it is extra work on my part that, and you have to be careful to make sure you get everything basically right. Otherwise, you got to do it again. And so I won't say it's complicated, but it's tedious and it takes time. So Yard of the
Vote
month,
that we adjourn.
huh?
I vote that we adjourn.
Well, why? We haven't approved the budget yet.
Oh, sorry.
But anyhow, the minutes, I don't know if anybody looks at the minutes. I'm sure there may be one or two people that look at them, but this last time I actually put a Zoom meeting, which makes it actually a much easier for me, but it can get expensive because in time we're going to run out of Zoom space. And as you know, those clouds are not free nor are they too cheap. But not only does it do I put an audio, I could put a video, but that's but with the audio, it also gives a transcript of everything we said. So, it's there. So it's not like, somebody can come and say, well, that didn't happen, or it happened this way or not. It's all there for them to listen to and read on the transcript. So, because we're paying for those transcripts. Zoom, it's about $200. It may get a little bit higher. If we start using their cloud storage, certainly it will get higher, but it may be worthwhile because it's easier. I don't tell people, but when I pulled up that Excel and that spreadsheet, all those programs that I use, I pay for those programs. I have never asked the Civic Club to pay for any of those programs. There's a couple from Adobe that I have and that I keep simply because I use them for the Civic Club. I don't use them. I wouldn't use them personally, but and if any of you have ever used Adobe products, it's not cheap. I pay
No.
$60 a month for my Adobe products. So, and my Word, an Office program, and Office actually has a good PDF now. It's not as good as Adobe, but it's a decent one. But Office is not free either. It's about $200 a year. So, those are all things that, I guess I donate to the community, but and I remember one time we paid $3,000 for a software so someone could do the budgets or in the invoicing for the software. I forgot the name of that. They don't even make that software anymore. Anything on the minutes? Well, anyhow, you've seen the minutes. We do have a vote on the minutes, but do you want me to show them to you? I can. Here, let me show you. And I put the bridge back because I don't know if you noticed, they started working again on the trail. They had contractor problems, and this time they assured me that they will complete it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I saw that they're working on it.
I was wondering about the bridge. Did they got it high enough so that it doesn't form a dam if the bayou fills up?
Well, if it were to block it, we'll probably all be underwater.
Yeah, right.
That's not reassuring. Reassuring.
Okay, November 12th board meeting. I gotta get the passcode, but maybe it's not as good as I thought. I gotta. Oh, wait a minute. Forgot to put the. Forgot what the password was. It was on there.
We can all see that on the website, right?
Yes.
You know, the
Yeah.
meetings and all that, link to the
Yeah.
meetings. Oh, there you go.
There's a passcode here.
Yeah.
Oh, you see it.
No, wrong password. I guess I'm gonna have to work on it. But I do have a copy of the recording anyhow, but I gotta go figure that out. I know that when I looked at it, it worked fine. I'm not sure why it's not working now.
Hmm.
But anyhow, I gotta go back to uh approval of the minutes. Uh I need a motion, please, someone.
I move that
I
we
motion,
approve sorry. I move that we approve the minutes.
I second it.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
It passes. Now, the budget. Here's the budget. Anyone want to change anything or approve it as is?
I will vote to approve the budget.
I
Okay,
second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the budget is approved. Uh, anything, any issues that we really should have one or two more board members. If y'all can find someone, maybe one of those that complains, ask them to at least be on the board to, give a few hours a year just to come and at least they can complain here to us, to all of us.
I keep asking, but I can't seem to get anybody to pony up and help.
And so it's,
Did anybody send in a question by email?
no,
No,
You
really?
know.
Not at all?
no. It would have surprised. I did get someone call and complain that they called 311 and 311 told them that we were not in the no parking ordinance. And I said, well, they're wrong. He says,
Hmm.
well, the city says we're not. I says, well, what can I tell you? I said, they're wrong. We are in the no parking ordinance.
Mhm.
That's not the first time they've said we weren't in the no parking ordinance.
And so I don't know if y'all remember, but after we got approved, I sent an email to certainly to everyone that was on the email list, including that person that was asking me those questions. And I said, I sent an email and you were on that list. I don't know what else I can do. But before that, I said, give me the address, take a picture of the car. It helps, it has the license plates, and I'll make sure I'll take care of it. But instead they wanted to persist that I was wrong and we were not in the no ordinance, that we were not in the city's no parking ordinance. So
Has that been fixed now? I mean, have they
but you brought it up one time, remember, Gene?
uh-huh.
And I reported it and they said they were going to take care of it. And they
And did they?
notified, obviously not, because 311 is still giving the same misinformation.
So who do we talk to?
Well, if we work with District J, and there's actually
J City.
J City.
Yeah, right.
Officer Herrera is really the person in charge of District J Patrol that would take care of our neighborhood. He's a very nice guy and he's easy to work with. In fact, we have a District J Patrol meeting this month on the 23rd, our first one for the year. We only meet 4 times a year. But I'll bring it up again and I'll ask you.
Where are the meetings? Can we attend?
It's limited to the people in that task force.
Hmm.
And, I guess they invited me because I'm the president, but
Hmm.
I'll be honest, not much happens because for the most part, you're not even allowed to ask questions. Although if I have a question, I just ask the question anyhow, but
Hmm.
mostly it's a report from the police officers, what they're doing. And so it's, I mean, there's not, if 311 gives misinformation, there's nothing we can do about that. But, if I do an awful lot of reading, especially news locally, state, nationally, but locally, there's enough people that say that 311, if you call them, they'll give you a number. And actually, I've experienced the same thing. They'll give you a number. A week or two later, they'll tell you the problem has been fixed, and it hasn't.
Yeah.
So I think they're claiming to be doing a lot more than they are by just saying that they're doing it when they're not. I mean, I'm so frustrated with, the lack of service that I've decided that if I see a water leak, unless it's affecting my property, I'm not calling it in. It's city water. Let the city find it and take care of it. It's because, if they're not going to take care of us, why am I going to be helping them? It doesn't make sense. That they would do that. And it's not just that. If you report a container that, and quite recently, some of those they have a new drivers, I guess, because they seem to eat those containers. They drop them into the bin. And if you're lucky, you'll get a new one within a day or two. If you're unlucky, like one of my neighbors, it took 2 weeks for them to get a new container.
You talking about a trash can?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, good luck.
So, and yeah, and I saw it when when they just dropped it in there and they just kept going.
Hmm.
So it's but I'll be honest, the service has not been as good as it used to be. I teased one of the members of Pollard's office that maybe, because Pollard is giving the mayor some headaches, that maybe they're taking it out on his district.
Maybe so.
So, any questions? If there's no questions, I'll entertain that motion to adjourn. Jean.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned.
all righty.
Have a
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night.